Hello friends, I am Arpit and I'm here with today's analysis. Today is 22nd of June and we're going to deal with three very important topics which are in news. First is the Post Office Act 2023 comes into force. This bill was passed in December and it became an act. It got the presidential assent as well. This bill removes the exclusivity of India Post for transferring any packages from one place to the other place, means it is giving way for the courier companies. It also gives regulatory powers to the India Post over the private courier companies. It also empowers the post officials to intercept any object or any parcel and see, inspect it if it is suspicious of nature. And hence, this act is giving over ambiguous powers to the government officials. This is one such drawback of it. Next is how India plans to engage with China during Modi 3.0. Well, a ray of hope was there when the Prime Minister, in an interview, talked about resolving the disputes with China. In May, Mr. S. Jaishankar also in an interview said that we need to resolve the border conflicts. We need to define the border patrolling points and, you know, the long-standing conflict in the Galwan Valley region has to be resolved. But post-elections, there have been certain developments which can irk China or which has irked China, like the Taiwan officials, they congratulating the Indian Prime Minister, a group of legislators from USA visiting the Dalai Lama, supporting Tibet, and then meeting the Indian leadership as well. This has irked China. So, what is going to be the future? Let's wait and hope for the best. Next is Lok Adalats. Supreme Court will be hosting Lok Adalats for out of the court settlements in the July end this year, from 29th of July till 3rd of August. This will continue. Lok Adalats are alternate dispute resolution mechanisms which aim at out of the court settlements, and the decisions or the outcomes of the disputes in the Lok Adalats cannot be questioned or cannot be appealed in any court of law. They are binding and they are final. But yes, a lot of cases do get resolved, like matrimonial cases or petty civil cases. These cases also add up in that humongous backlog of the Indian judiciary. And then we'll be talking about the MCQs from these three topics, and we will be discussing the MCQs of yesterday, the answers to those MCQs. Now, the Post Office Act 2023 comes into force. It was introduced in Rajya Sabha in August 2023, passed in Rajya Sabha December 4, 2023, passed in Lok Sabha December 18, 2023. It got presidential assent in the winter session last year. Now, the Post Office Act 2023 seeks to repeal the old law, Indian Post Office Act 1898 of British era. This particular law, the Post Office Act 2023, is also in line with the government's agenda of leaving the colonial mindset or shedding of the colonial mindset. What was the need for the law? See, one primary need for the law was that post offices nowadays, apart from delivering mails from one place to the other place or delivering parcels from one place to the other place, have started to get involved in other activities also. Other activities like financial activities. Indian Post Payment Bank, there is a payments bank under India Post. Then you can invest in certain financial instruments issued by the India Post. So these kind of financial activities India Post is also into, and those financial activities had to be included in the law explicitly, which they were not included in the 1898 law. So that was one such primary reason. Now, provisions of the bill empowers any officer to intercept, open, or detain any item if that officer feels that this is an item of suspicion and can be a threat to the national integrity or sovereignty. So that person can intercept, open, inspect that item, what that item is. Hand over postal items to custom authorities if they are suspected to contain any prohibited item. Section 10 exempts the post office and its officer from any liability by reason of any loss, misdelivery, delay, or damage in course of any service provided by the post office. So, in this section 10 exempts the post office and its officer from any liability. If let's suppose I send any parcel by India Post and it gets damaged. India Post will not be liable for it, or nor any officer in the India Post will be liable for it. So giving them, you know, excess powers. This is the 2023 Act removes all penalties and offences under the 1898 Act. For example, offences committed by post office officials such as misconduct, fraud, and theft, among others, have been deleted entirely. So, if any officer gets indulged into, robbing any of the parcels, then also that person will not be tried. Again, questionable. At the same time, if anyone refuses or neglects to pay the charges for availing a service provided by the post office, such amount shall be recoverable as if it were an arrear of land revenue due. So government has excess powers in cases of, recovering the dues from the people. Just like the land arrear due, the government can call upon the police and all other security agencies and all. So similarly, in post office also can be done. Now, the present act has removed section 4 of the 1898 Act. This is interesting. What was section 4? Which allowed the center the exclusive privilege of conveying by post from one place to the other all letters. Means only India Post will be, supplying letters from one place to the other place. The 2023 Act for the first time regulates private courier services by bringing it under its ambit. The bill has removed exclusivity, but it has widened the scope to intercept and detain any postal article as opposed to just letters. So, India Post can intercept any post or any parcel which is being transshipped from or transshipped by the private courier companies also. There also it is powerful. Huh? Exclusivity has been removed, means now only India Post will be responsible for, transmitting mails from one place to the other place in India. No, private courier companies will also be allowed, but yes, India Post has regulatory powers over them. This is what this point means to say. Now, key issues with the bill. The bill does not specify any procedural safeguards for interception. The bill has given the powers of interception to the post officials, but what is the procedure, how it is going to happen, under what circumstances it is going to happen, that is all vague, and this may violate the freedom of speech and expression of the people. Right to privacy also of individuals can be at threat. The grounds for interception include emergency, which may be beyond reasonable restrictions under the constitution. This in itself is very much vague or very subjective, we can say. The bill does not specify any offenses and penalties. For instance, there are no consequences for unauthorized opening of postal articles by a postal officer. So, all these things are the issues. It seems that India Post might not remain so people friendly. It has become, official friendly over here. This is in a nutshell what I want to say. Next is how India plans to engage with China. Now, India's relationship with China is at an all time low. Galwan Valley clashes, 4 years it has completed. Mid of June, it started in 2020. We have surpassed mid of June in 2024. There is a buildup of around 50 to 60,000 troops over there on the Indo-China border from both the sides. These troops come for patrolling, and the patrolling points where the Chinese troops are coming, as per India's claims, they are on the Indian side of LAC, means the Chinese are making inroads into India. So these long-standing issues with China are there, and how the Modi government is going to tackle these issues is basically very, very crucial. It is being speculated by many that since a coalition government is there, the government will look to deliver on the promises which it has done to the people and ignore this border standoff, which may further, empower China to make more inroads into India. It is also being speculated that the government, on the other hand, can show a strong face to China to earn the lost faith among the public. But yes, as our prime minister says that this era is not an era of war, so we should be considering that. The prime minister is going to meet Xi Jinping in SCO summit in next month, I would say, that is scheduled. So let us see. A ray of hope. In April, Prime Minister Modi told Newsweek magazine during an interview that for India, the relationship with China is important and significant. Obviously, it is. it is my belief that we need to urgently address the prolonged situation on our borders so that the abnormality in our bilateral interactions can be behind us. He also said that stable and peaceful relations between India and China are important for not just our two countries, but the entire region and the world. I hope and believe that through positive and constructive bilateral engagement at the diplomatic and military levels, we will be able to restore and sustain peace and tranquility on our borders. To this statements issued by the Indian Prime Minister, China responded positively. China's foreign ministry also issued a note after this, acknowledging the fact that we need to resolve the conflicts. Then, in May next month, that is External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar expressed hope for resolving the remaining issues with China amid the border standoff in Ladakh. These outstanding issues primarily revolved around patrolling rights and patrolling abilities. Limiting the dispute to patrolling rights and patrolling abilities was seen as a nuancing of Indian position, means India changed its position. Earlier, India was talking about disengagement and de escalation. Now, India has started to talk about patrolling rights and patrolling abilities. So, what is basically in a nutshell we have to understand? This is LAC. So, Indian forces are stationed over here, Chinese forces are stationed over here, and there are certain patrolling points up to which these forces go. These patrolling points on Indian side are there. So these forces will go there, come back, go there, come back, go there, come back. The Chinese forces are also coming up to these patrolling points which are on the Indian side of LAC. That is the main issue. So that is why we are talking about patrolling rights and patrolling abilities. The ray of hope blocked. The ray of hope was given by, S. Shankar and Prime Minister. Now it seems that it has been blocked. Why? Because we see these developments. The exchange messages between Prime Minister and Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te after Narendra Modi winning this or becoming the president, China protested to this. China said that all forms of official interactions between Taiwan authorities and countries having diplomatic relations with China and asked India not to deviate from its commitment of one China policy. And one China policy considers Taiwan as part of China. China is one. So, a setback over here. A seven-member bipartisan delegation of the United States Congress met Dalai Lama in Dharamshala on Wednesday, where former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi declared that while Tibetan spiritual leader's legacy will live forever, Z will be gone and nobody will give him credit for anything. So they purposely brought Z into this. She could have stopped there that your legacy will live forever, but she purposely targeted Z and brought over here. And to this, the Chinese reacted sharply and urged the US to adhere to its commitments of recognizing Xizang as part of China. Xizang is basically China refers to Tibet as Xizang. And Chinese reacted to this sharply and said that US to adhere to its commitments of recognizing Xizang as part of China and not supporting Xizang independence, Tibetan independence. So this is what happened. And then this delegation met the Indian Prime Minister, Indian Foreign Minister, NSA, Ajit Doval also, because there was this ICET meeting. Now, next is Lok Adalats. When I talk about Lok Adalats, the Supreme Court is going to conduct Lok Adalats from 29th of July till August of 3. 75th year of its establishment it is commemorating. So from July 29 to August 3, this will be conducted. The system involves out of court settlement. It is not a proper judgment, but yes, both the parties are involved, both the conflicting parties in the case. And if they want to do a compromise or out of court settlement, these are done in Lok Adalats with the, I would say, sehmati of both the parties. So it is like this. The types of cases in Lok Adalats. What are the types of cases? Cases relating to matrimonial and property disputes, motor accident claims, land acquisition, compensation, service and labor, which are pending before the Supreme Court, would be taken up to facilitate speedy disposal. So these kind of cases are taken up. We cannot call them petty cases, but yes, these kind of cases will be resolved to huge number of these cases are pending. So that will definitely give some relief to the judiciary. Composition of Lok Adalats. Lok Adalats is having serving or retired judicial officers. Other persons as may be specified by the state, district authority, or the High Court, Tehsil, Legal Service Committee. The person deciding the cases in the Lok Adalats are called members of the Lok Adalats. Now, role played by these members, they have the role of statutory conciliators only and do not have any judicial role. They are not judges, but they are called as statutory conciliators. This means that they can only persuade and shall not pressurize or coerce the parties. They can persuade them to come to a conclusion. It is left to the parties whether they want to come to a conclusion or not. As a result, the Lok Adalat will not decide the subject on its own initiative, but rather on the basis of a compromise or settlement reached between the parties. And once the compromise or settlement is reached between the parties, none of the parties can go to a higher court. The powers of the Lok Adalat. Lok Adalat has jurisdiction to determine and to arrive at a compromise or settlement between the parties to a dispute in respect of any case pending before the court, any matter which is falling within the jurisdiction and is not brought before the court for which the Lok Adalat is organized. If a case is pending before the court, it is filed in the court, then those cases can be discussed. Or if someone is planning to file a case in the court, it is not filed, those cases can also be tried first or brought first back to the Lok Adalats. Then from there, if settlement is done, it is considered settled. If not, then you can approach the courts. So the award made by the Lok Adalat is deemed to be decree of civil court. Such award is final and binding on all parties, and no appeal against such an award lies before any court of law. So, no appeal. That is the case in Lok Adalat. Now, the topics are over. We come to the MCQs. Consider the statements and mark the correct one. The bill empowers any officer to intercept, open, or detain any item in the interest of state security, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, emergency, public safety, or contravention of other laws. This is with respect to the Post Office Bill or Post Office Act 2023. Second is the Post Office Act 2023 aims to regulate private courier companies. Which of these statements are correct? You have to answer this. Then next is which of the following changes can happen with the passage of Post Office Act 2023? It will enable post offices to carry out other activities apart from mail delivery. It will remove exclusivity of mail delivery on post offices in India. So, which of these are correct? You have to find out. China refers to Tibet as Xinjiang, Yunnan, Zhejiang, or none of the above. Simple, direct question. Fourth, Lok Adalats aim for which of the following? Grievance redressal, better governance of courts, out of court settlements, or none of the above. Now, MCQs of 21st June. Consider the statements and mark the correct one. The Parliamentary Security Service replaced the Watch and Ward Committee in 2010. This statement is wrong because it replaced it in 2009. So this is wrong. Parliamentary Security Service was responsible for overall security of the parliament. This statement is correct. So only 2 is the correct answer of this. Who was the president of Central Legislative Assembly when Bhagat Singh and Bakudeshwar Dutt threw bombs in the chamber? R.C. Dutt, no. Dadabhai Naoroji, no. Motilal Nehru, no. Vittalbhai Patel was the president, and this Vittalbhai Patel only brought in that Watch and Ward Committee to secure the parliament area after this. Consider the statements and mark how many of them are true. CISF is under the administrative control of Ministry of Defense. No, it is under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. It is a paramilitary force. Delhi Police is under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. This statement is correct. CISF is the only paramilitary force to have its own dedicated fire wing. This we discussed explicitly. This is correct. So this is the correct answer. Only 2 statements are correct. Fourth, consider the statements and mark the correct one. The proposal to recognize 21 June as World Yoga Day was tabled by India in the 67th session of UNGA. The statement is wrong. It is 69th session. Minute fact, but yes, UPSC asks it. The International Day for Yoga aims to increase awareness about yoga and Ayurveda as an alternate form of medicine. This statement is also wrong. It does not talk about Ayurveda. It only talks about yoga. So, this statement wrong, this statement wrong. D is the correct answer for it. Neither 1 nor 2. Last question. What is the theme for International Day of Yoga? It is yoga for self and world. This is not true. Yoga for women. This is not true. Yoga for society. This is also not true. The actual theme is yoga for self and society. So none of the above is the correct answer of this particular question. Now, with this, we come to an end of today's session. I will be meeting you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. I am not discussing today. Namaste. Jai Hind.